If you just joined us, this is The Pulse, and you can only find election headquarters here on Joy News Channel. Now, we're only a couple of hours away from the Joy Ballot Box show coming to you this time from the Bunahaf region. All through the week, residents of Kintampo North and South and Techiman South have been queuing to cast their ballots on the key issues that will influence their votes in the general elections. The event will be airing live on this channel and on Joy FM at 5 p.m. My colleague Evans Mensah is getting ready to host tonight's show and joins me via phone. Good evening, Evans. Good to have you.
Good evening, Aisha. How are
Evans, what's the latest from the Bunahaf region?
Well, the latest is that we are all set to roll. A few finishing touches being put to the stage itself. It threatens to rain. In fact, it rained. It's been raining for let's say an hour or two, but it stopped now, and the community is quite in anticipation of what is about to happen and interaction between the constituents and their leaders.
So what are some of the issues coming up, Evans?
Well, there are some interesting community constituency-specific issues. So if you take Kintampo South and North, for example, you are looking at concerns or issues surrounding roads. But it's not necessarily that the roads have not been done, but the fact that the roads, the way it's been constructed and laid, leads to fatal accidents. And if you take your mind back to early this year, Kintampo, that road running to Fisherman Kintampo all the way to Tamale was one of the, I guess, scenes of one of the most deadliest road accidents we've seen in recent years, killing more than 60 people. And so we've seen a lot of people raising that road question, and their point they make there is that whichever party, whichever candidate offers the best plan to fix that problem that leads to the death, that person or that individual, that party might possibly get your vote. That's one of the key things that we've seen. But we've also seen the microfinance scandal issue also come up a lot. You know, the Bunahaf was the epicenter, and both across the Chuman South, Kintampo North and South, we've seen people say that's the key issue because they still not have the opportunity to get back their money. And they want their leaders to tell them how they can get the money and also put in place measures to prevent future terrorists.
Evans, the Bunahaf region lost quite a number of people to the pneumococcal meningitis outbreak, and there has been several concerns. Were there some issues raised with health in the region?
Yes, mainly we've seen health, but it has to do with the NHIS. We've seen a lot of people across Kintampo North and South particularly complain to us and say one of the key issues is a fully functional national health insurance scheme, and that now often when they go to the hospitals, they are made to pay, and they want a party or a candidate that can put forth the best plan to, get the NHIS working in a way that will benefit the poorest. But I must also say quickly that we've also seen, and in the boxes, a number of people saying, pointing to some of the key improvements they've seen in their roads, but also some of the key buildings like schools that had been built. And for them, these developmental projects and backed on by the incumbent government will influence, who or what they vote for. And that's one of the key things we've also seen. There's a certain balance in appreciation of what has been done and what needs to be done.
Evans, what can you say about the atmosphere? Is it a charged atmosphere? What can you say about the looks of the electorate? Is it that of hope or discouragement?
Well, it's that of anticipation. I mean, anticipation of the opportunity to interact with their leaders, those seeking their vote, the candidates. And we've been here for the past 1 week speaking to them. And every person you speak to is so excited that they're getting an opportunity finally to put a few questions, but also interact and hear directly from their leaders what the plans are to transform their lives, to make their lives better than it is right now. As we speak right now, people are already taking their seats, and we are still an hour away to the start of the program. and people are hoovering about. Some will come and go and come back and call in their friends and say, make sure you show up so we can all participate in this conversation. So we're expecting a pretty healthy conversation, purely based on the issues, a fair, honest, dispassionate conversation about issues that concern you and I, the people in Kintampo, North and South, and Region and South.
And who are your main participants? I want to believe it's the youth.
Mainly, yes, but we've also seen all shapes, but, pardon me, we've seen people from all walks of life, from all ages, the youth, the elderly, the women, men, even children. But this is a conversation about elections, and so you cannot, of course, hear the voices of children. Although that is important also because, of course, their lives will be impacted by the outcome of the December election. We've even seen traditional rulers and the traditional authority figures who have expressed interest. In fact, we've met the chief of the town with his whole entourage, and they will all be here in their full regalia just to ensure that a conversation is not only one from the youth, from the old, but everybody else who lives, works, or has anything to do with these three constituencies has their issues represented fairly in the conversation.
Well, Evans, thanks so much. Wish you a good show, and all of these will be happening in less than an hour. You can't miss this, and it's right on the Joy News channel on TV and on radio at 5 p.m. We're still staying with the election headquarters because an international pre-assessment team has advised the Electoral Commission to intensify publicity on the electoral process to enhance transparency in its operations. Addressing a press conference, representatives from the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute applauded efforts made by the EC so far, but advised that it does more to boost public confidence. Former U.S. Assistant Secretary of the State for African Affairs, Johnny Carson, is an NDI board member. We can listen to him now.
We should continue to enhance transparency and confidence in the electoral process by expanding and intensifying its engagement through active consultation with stakeholders and public outreach with voters in urban and rural settings in partnership with civil society organizations and the media. New measures adopted by the EC, such as the proposed electronic transmission of results from polling units, should be fully explained to political parties and voters, and transparency measures should be provided to avoid suspicions or misunderstanding.
Now, board member and senior advisor for the Africa Economic Development Policy Initiative, Obi Ezekwesili, also believes more can be done to improve communication between the EC and members on the Inter-Party Advisory Committee to make it more effective.
Some of the basic steps that are being taken on the matters of the judicial outcomes and the way that the EC has been implementing them. There just needs to be more conversation, more dialogue, more openness on the steps that are taken, because these are concrete steps and measures that are being taken. The more that this can be done, the more that this can be owned jointly, the better it would enhance the credibility of the process. For the institution to completely be above board and to transparently convey what it is doing, so that no matter what, it would be clear that it has taken global standard level actions to douse any kind of possibilities that it could be accused objectively of lacking credibility.
So the pre-election assessment, which is the first in a series, spanned 1 week and included stakeholders across the political spectrum, including the EC, security services, politicians, and civil society organizations. Now, We're still on election headquarters. We're still talking politics. Pro-opposition pressure group Let My Vote Count Alliance is urging President John Mahama to state government's position on a proposal by the Inspector General of Police IGP John Kudalo to block social media on election day December 7. The group is convinced that it will take only President Mahama's public statement to put the very controversial issue to rest, even though the Interior Minister Prosper Bani has indicated government will not allow any such move. But the Let My Vote Count Alliance is of the view the president needs to make a public declaration on the issue to bring it to rest. David Asante is convener of the group, and he spoke earlier on News Desk.
Happy that at least the Interior Minister has come out publicly to say the government or the state will not ban social media on election day. We welcome the news and we think it is good. However, much as we think the minister speaks on authority and exerts state authority, we believe the matter on the table is more sensitive. You remember several organizations spoke against the position taken by the IGP, including UN representative for the Sub-Saharan Africa, His Excellency Ibn Chambers. Prominent citizens spoke against the decision and its entire contemplation by the IGP to shut down social media. We therefore think it is a matter that has to do with the incoming election and is very sensitive. It is not a matter that we can leave to state actors to express their position. His Excellency John Mahama is a candidate in the upcoming election. There are other candidates who are in the contest. I am sure the other candidates will be more glad and will be very appreciative and will set their heart at peace if His Excellency the President, who is also a candidate in the upcoming election, comes out to make a public statement that I am not for any reason going to watch social media or instruct for social media or any radio station to be jammed or have their network and transmission and broadcasting interfered with on the day of election. Then the political actors, the candidates, and we, the electorate, will have confidence and know very well that there will be nothing of state intervention by way of intimidation or suppressing freedom of speech on the day of election.
And this is The Pulse, your most authoritative analysis news program. Now, a group calling itself the Voice of the Nation has given the Bureau of National Investigations and the Ghana Police Service a 2-week ultimatum to arrest and interrogate the former chairman of the New Patriotic Party in the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, Michael Omare Wadia. In an audio recording, the former constituency chairman is heard threatening the president may not live to see the next general elections if he goes ahead to pardon some 3 contemners serving a 4-month jail term for threatening the Supreme Court judges. Here are excerpts of what he said.
You should go ahead and release it.
President Mahama is well versed with the law. So what I'm saying is, if he's daring enough, he should go ahead and release the 3 conterminous.
So release December 7th, not your president.
If he does that, I bet you he will suffer the same fate as the late President Mills.
As a president.
The concerned group Voice of the Nation have however petitioned the BNI and the Ghana Police Service to call the former constituency chairman of the NPP for questioning. The group has vowed to embark on a series of demonstrations across the country if the institutions fail to act by arresting Omari Wadia.
First and foremost, as you are aware, we put out this release in the name of VON, which stands for Voice of the Nation. And as the name suggests, Voice of the Nation has a background of ascertaining the issues that have been a problem for the less privileged in society. And as a result of that, we think that to be able to deal with the issues of less privileged, we need to have peace relatively in the country to prevail for that to happen. So having to pursue our objectives in that particular direction, we thought that anything that has to do with a threat to the security of this nation is a concern to the Voice of the Nation, and that is why we put out the press release for the relevant institutions of state to take it up and make sure that he is invited for questioning.
How does the statements or his pronouncement qualify to be a threat? I listened to the audio.
Yeah, if somebody says that if you dare do this, in any case, if we go back to the case of Muntie 3, they also premised their threats, so to speak, on condition that should the judges do otherwise, the people of this country will not forgive them and their houses are known. And that suggested that it was a threat on the lives of the judges, and for that matter, they were called for contempt and handed down a punishment of 4 months imprisonment. So if somebody says that if John Mahama thinks that he's a man enough, he should go ahead and pardon the trio who are incarceration today, it is a threat, because John Mahama is not even going arbitrary to give them pardon, but he is acting on the provision of the Constitution under Article 72, which gives him the right of prerogative of mercy to exercise. So if he does that, it means that he has not done anything contrary to the law for anybody to come and threaten him. And even if you have any threat to issue, it is not the type of threat that Omari Wadia issued. He issued a threat to suggest that John Mahama would not survive to see 7th December elections should he go ahead and give them the pardon. And this is a serious threat on no other person but the #1 gentleman of this country, John Mahama.
So apart from this release, have you made any formal petition to a state institution to intervene in any way?
Yes, very well, because we thought that this is a matter of the public and it is out there for everybody to know. We never made a step back to go to the police to lodge a complaint. What we did was that we petitioned the security agents such as the BNI and the national security to take it up, to invite him for questioning, and if possible, if there is any merit for them to prosecute him, they institute prosecution for him to be brought before the courts.
But I want to play the devil's advocate here. Omari didn't make a categorical statement that the president would die or I will kill the president. He said the president will suffer the same fate as that of the late President Mills. May his soul rest in peace. How does this qualify? Again, that brings me back to my earlier question. As a threat.
Understood. Ambiguous as it may be, but the point here is that we all know the circumstances under which we lost President Mills. We lost him through death, and that actually happened barely 4 or 5 months before elections in 2012. And that is exactly the analogy Mr. Omari Wadia was drawing. He said that President Mahama, should he dare pardon the trio, he is going to suffer the consequences that befell President Mills, which saw his exit out of this world. So it suggests to me and to other like-minded people that he tend to issue a threat to the extent that if John Mahama dares pardon them, he is also going to suffer the ordeal that President Mills suffered in between this time and election time. And that's exactly the analogy Mr. Omari Wadia was drawing.
Let's now do some security analysis. Bulk power distributor Gridco has vowed to clear all unauthorized settlements and the high-tension wires in the country. Although residents of such places are living in danger due to the possibility of being electrocuted if any of the cables develops a fault, they tell Bichi Sedu in the following report they don't have any option.
It's like a free land, and so people are taking advantage, although at the peril of their lives. In parts of Alaju, Kotobabi Down, Aveno, and now where I am, North Kaneshie. It seems the development of properties and the high-tension towers is not just in one place. When you travel through the city, it's something that is spread across. I'm currently at the Mod, which is around the North Kaneshie area, and a number of houses have been built right under the high-tension towers. Kiosks as well as stores have also been built, placed directly under the high-tension towers. I have one of the storekeepers here. Her store is actually one of the stores directly under the cables of the high-tension towers. Her name is Madam Evelyn Mensah, and she joins me now. How long have you been here?
For about 3 months.
Are you not concerned about the cables here?
I mean, also,
So she's saying she's worried about the situation, but she doesn't have anywhere else to go. That's why she's here. But when you look at other places, there are other areas here that are not under the cables here that you could have easily taken your store to. So she's saying it's not hers, she's just renting it and she can't move it from where it is to another place. But you must be concerned about your safety. So she's saying that her health is paramount to her, but she still insists that she doesn't have any other place and she needs the money for her daily upkeep, and so she has to be here. When you look through this whole line, you see a number of houses and stores that have been built under this, but it seems that it is not just houses and stores.
Well, Gridco boss William Amuna talks about plans to deal with the problem. He's been speaking in an exclusive interview with Bichi Sedu.
We have electromagnetic radiation from the lines, the transmission lines, and there could be health implications for people who live under the line. The other fact is that occasionally you could have the conductor falling, and when the conductor falls, and there is power in it, it could kill virtually everybody close to the conductor. There was an instance where one fell, and there was a cow around. The cow virtually bloated. I mean, that tells you exactly what the problem could be. In fact, people shouldn't live under transmission lines. It is highly dangerous. With the trained people can always go in there and then work under the transmission lines. But to get people living there permanently, that could be very dangerous.
But over time, we have realized that a number of people are living around these areas. Houses have been built, stores have been built. One major development you find is fitting activity.
Yeah.
And a lot of fitting shops are around these places. Why has the Gridco not gone there to sack these people from there?
Well, we've been doing that. You only need to go and then destroy a building, and the next day you find another one there. We have laws, LI 542, that governs this. People are not supposed to live within some areas. Now, when you take the transmission line for the 161 kV lines, if you stand in the middle, 15 meters to the right, 15 meters to the left, nobody should develop over there. And if you take the 330 kV lines, in the middle, 20 meters to the right, 20 to the left, nobody should develop there by law. But we have people doing that. We go with the police, we go with the security agencies to destroy such settlements, but within a very short time, you have them coming back. And it's just not in Accra. We have it in Kumasi, we have it at Budumbura, the refugee area, we have it virtually everywhere. We try to destroy them and then they come back.
For instance, the first place I went to was Fita Line. That's how they call the place. It's in Ashaiman.
Yeah.
And when you're actually using the motorway, before you get to the toll booth, the toll booth around Tema, you find the settlement there. It's a slum.
That's true.
And I spoke with the people. They didn't give me a sense that Gridco had been there like a month or two ago to warn them or to destroy their properties.
Well,
how often do you go around to do these?
For that particular area, we have an impending project. All the transmission lines between Tema and Accra are going to be changed in the next 1 year. I think we'll be starting the project in the next 2 months. We've sent out notices that we are going to destroy all the settlements along the line between Tema and Accra. So that is an impending project, and we definitely will get them all out of the place. We've been there several times anyway.
What is making it difficult to get rid of people living there? You're saying you sack them, they go back.
Yeah.
But there must be a permanent solution to this.
There must be a permanent solution. The fact is that there should be punitive action such that anybody who goes in there should be punished.
By who?
By the laws of the land.
But if you're not getting rid of them, how
what we do is that we normally take them off the place, and the next day they are back there. If you take a place like a Fiesta Royal Hotel, very close to Fiesta Royal, you realize that you have this machinery, very heavy machinery. Now they just took the machinery there. We don't have the capacity to pull those machines out of the place. And they're always there. When you get in there, everybody walks away and there's nobody there to talk to.
Now you're talking about punitive action against such people, and I believe the Gridco should take the lead.
We have done that. We have actually taken a number of people to court. As we speak, just yesterday, one of the cases was heard in court. So we are doing that. We've been taking people to court, over these issues.
So currently, there are still people.
We'll be back with the sports segment, and remember, this is the Pulse over here. You're sorted with all you need to know about news.